Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk. Today is a free agency special. As you know, NFL free agency, no, it's just an NFL free agency special, by the way. The NFL free agency, probably one of the craziest of all time. I mean, a whole lot of big names, all over new places. The division is absolutely loaded. Heck, even Tom Brady came out of retirement. So, we're going to be setting today's topic on NFL free agency, just to see what the effects are for each signing. And well, we're really going to be going over three subtopics. One about the AFC West, one about the Cleveland Browns and what's going on over there, and then just some other signings and how they affect their teams. But either way, I mean, really, it should be a pretty good episode, hopefully a detailed episode. As NFL free agency again has been crazy and it's still going on, so easily there could be a big breaking news stuff coming my way. So I mean, I don't know. I've been trying my best to get everything out on the Instagram. I was in North Carolina. I was a little sick in North Carolina. Had a little cold there, so I tried to be as active as possible during then, but I was very tired at that point. Either way, let's get right into the video, starting with the AFC West. So as you know, a whole lot of moves are going on in the NFL, but mostly the beginning of it all happened over in the AFC West, which is now pretty much loaded. Like really, all four teams could make the playoffs this coming year. So let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs, because why not? So the Kansas City Chiefs, all they've really done is just re-sign some key players, like Orlando Brown, and honestly, they haven't really done a lot. They've lost some key defensive players. I think Travis Ward, I think that's his name. He went to San Francisco. Obviously, Orlando Brown re-signed. Not re-signed. He's on a franchise tag, which is still a pretty big move. And really just keeping the same team intact. Obviously, they need to re-sign Tyrann Mathieu and all that. But here's the thing. The biggest signing easily for Kansas City has got to be Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously gives Mahomes that second wide receiver that he kind of needed throughout his time in Kansas City. I mean, Sammy Watkins probably was his best option for that. But Juju Smith-Schuster now is easily better than him, and the Kansas City offense is just looking much, much better. Because he got Mahomes, the O-line, a CEH, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and now Juju. So really, obviously, both Mahomes will like him as, Patrick Mahomes as a receiver, Jackson Mahomes as a TikTok star. But, like I said, I like this signing for Kansas City. Really helps their offense a lot. But now they really need to focus on the defensive side, especially Tyrann Mathieu. Because if Tyrann Mathieu isn't signed, I'm not really liking the Chiefs in this AFC West division. But, but you never know, it's the Chiefs. Last year, obviously, they were looking really shaky with that defense, and then that defense came up and showed that they weren't as bad as everyone thought. So really, I think Kansas City defense, they just need to get Mathieu back. Because, I mean, their pass rushing is good. They just need that defensive back area, the linebacker area. They just need to fix that up. So with that, let's head on over to our next AFC West team. All right, next up, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers, they made some pretty big moves, mostly on the defensive side too, starting with trading for Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack, obviously one of the best players on the Bears, one of the best pass rushers in the league. The Chargers definitely needed something going on defensively, and this is definitely a solution, or the start of a big solution. You pair him up with Joey Bosa, that's going to be pretty much unstoppable. Unless you have a line like the Colts, or maybe even the Chiefs for that matter. But unless you have a very good offensive line, you're not going to be stopping Bosa and Mack at the same time. It's just simply not possible. But that's just my personal opinion. And then obviously the Chargers now signing J.C. Jackson to a 5-year, $82 million contract, I think it was. Obviously, as a Patriot fan, I'm not too happy with this because, I mean, Patriots just lost their best cornerback, and it's kind of hard to find a CB1, but the Chargers did find theirs with J.C. Jackson. I think they still have Chris Harris Jr. or Sr. Either Chris Harris. I think he's still in L.A. Obviously, Derwin James is there. On paper, this Chargers offense is looking pretty good. I think now they just really need a linebacker, and they can easily get that in the draft. Because they still have Herbert. They re-signed Mike Williams. They still have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson. The O-line, maybe the O-line, they could go for the first round, second round. Mostly linebackers and offensive linemen they need to compete like Foley. But I think the Chargers, they're huge winners in this offseason. They're really big competitors with the Chiefs now, and I think the Chargers will make the Chiefs go. Really, the entirety of the AFC West is now going to make the Chiefs run for their money, but specifically, the Chargers will. But really, the Chargers, huge moves. Really like the Chargers right now. I think their best move was the J.C. Jackson signing. I think that really helps out their defense because they kind of need that the no-fly zone support. And J.C. Jackson definitely helps out with that. Personally, I think he's like a top 5, top 3 cornerback. So really, this is a big signing for the Los Angeles Chargers. All right, let's go to our next AFC West team. All right, next up we head over to Denver, where they didn't make a lot of moves, but when they made a move, they made a big move. First, let's start off with Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory, he was supposed to re-sign with Dallas for a 5 year, $70 million contract, but then Randy Gregory decided not to re-sign for Dallas, but go to Denver for that same amount, 5 years, $70 million. This really helps out Denver's pass rushing defense, especially with Von Miller not being there, which I will talk about him later this video. I know Von Miller was speculating going to the Broncos, but obviously most of you know that didn't happen. But Randy Gregory definitely fills a void in that, because Randy Gregory, personally, I think he was probably the Dallas's best pass rusher. A little bit of a fight between him and Micah Parsons, but Randy Gregory is still a very, very good pass rusher. I think him, Bradley Chubb, all those guys on the Denver D-line, they're going to be so good. And then the Denver secondary, obviously, is good. But I think the main reason why the Denver didn't make like that much moves is because they don't really need to. I mean, they got receivers. They got a running back for the future. They got a decent O-line, but I think that's where they can make moves in like the draft or something, because this is an offensive lineman heavy draft, and I think they're not signing players in the free agency for the O-line because they're making these big moves. Otherwise, like with the quarterback and Randy Gregory, because their defense is already good, they know that, but they just made it a little bit better. The quarterback was obviously the main problem, and they solved it by trading for Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson, I personally think, is a huge get for Denver. Makes them Super Bowl contenders. Makes them, again, compete with the Chiefs. I mean, they got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They got a pretty good receiving core, like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick even. They did have to trade away Noah Fant, but I think their backup tight end, I can't even pronounce his name, but I think he did pretty solid when Fant was gone. I think that's another position that they need to fill, but they could do that probably next year, or if he does develop well, he can easily keep him. So that's what I think they should do, just roll with him, see what happens, because you do have other weapons. Because tight end is obviously not your number one priority usually in the league. That's just a position that you'll love to have if you need it. But they can be really dangerous. They can act like receivers, and they can block well too. So, not my number one priority, but definitely up there. But again, Russell Wilson, he is going to a Denver team with a great receiving core, a really good running back, I think, will be next year, Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon, I don't think is coming back. I don't know why he should come back. You got a decent O-line, probably a little bit better than Seattle's, but Denver can fix that. A really good defense, and really, Denver's looking good. Denver's looking like a Corvette right now. They're looking great, looking fast, they're looking very stylish. I mean, it's gonna be weird seeing Wilson in a Denver uniform, not those Seattle uniforms. I think really those Seattle uniforms basically just like Wilson represents those. It's gonna be weird not seeing him in that. But whether you like it or not, Wilson's a Bronco, Gregory's a Bronco, and really, Denver's offseason, a very good one. Let's head to our last AFC West team. All right, so the Las Vegas Raiders, they made some moves too. For an example, they signed Chandler Jones. They traded away Yannick Ngakwe, something like his name. I know what I'm talking about. The defensive end for him. They traded him away for Rocky Sin. To trade him to the Indianapolis Colts, which it's a very interesting move, I personally think. I think Chandler Jones and Yannick would have been very good rushing duo. But instead you get Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, which is definitely better. But for Raiders secondary, I thought they signed someone. I just have to figure that out. I know they were in the race for J.C. Jackson as well, but obviously they went to the Chargers. If I find it, I'll put in the edited part of the video. But offensively, they made a big move with trading for Devontae Adams. Sure, they had to give away some first-round picks, but now look at the Raiders. They look really, really good. They look like a really good team. They really do. Carr, Adams, I think they'll be a really good duo. Hunter Renfrow, don't forget about him. And then Darren Waller. The O-line needs some fixing. Josh Jacobs is in there. I think Brandon Bolden, he's also over there in Vegas. I just know that because I'm a Patriot fan. And so is Jakob Johnson. He's a pretty good fullback, so they can have fun with him. Overall, the Raiders, I do think they will finish last in the AFC West, but definitely in the hunt for the playoffs. So it's last, but it's a good type of last. I think all the teams in the AFC West will finish above 500, if not at 500 at least. I think that's how good these teams are, and I think that's how good these teams can be. So really, I'm not going to give my final standings yet. That'll be closer to when the season starts. But really, I think the winner of these four teams, I think the Chargers won this out of all these four teams. They made the most signings, and I think they look the best in the AFC West right now. Best in the West, what can I say? Either way, let's move on over to Cleveland, where we talk about a certain quarterback situation over there. All right, so for Deshaun Watson, obviously, you know, he's been traded over to Cleveland for the series of picks that Houston wanted. But here's the thing. Before that, Deshaun Watson and Cleveland were talking. You know, it's just a meeting and all that. But Baker Mayfield wasn't happy about it at all. And he sent a letter out to the city of Cleveland thanking him for his time in Cleveland. And at this point, also saying that the relationship is basically, how do I put it, like, tensions can be cut with like a butter knife, or relationships could be cut with a butter knife. So Baker requested a trade, and even though Cleveland said that they wouldn't go for Watson, and so after Baker requested a trade, Cleveland traded for Watson, but didn't include Baker in the trade. So where is Baker going to go? He wanted to go to Indianapolis, but Indianapolis traded for Matt Ryan. So obviously that's off the table. So now where do I see Baker Mayfield going? Where do I see a team that wants Baker Mayfield? Honestly, I haven't thought about it too much. But I could definitely see, again, a quarterback needy team that needs a guy like Baker Mayfield. I think a good location for Mayfield, let me just again think here. Either I would say New Orleans, Carolina, or what was that other city? It was in my head. I had it in my head. Oh, New York Giants. So either New Orleans, Carolina, or New York. I could see Baker Mayfield going. I think they will accept him in any sort of way. New Orleans obviously having Jameis Winston. Actually, no. Get New Orleans off the table and put Atlanta on the table. So Atlanta, they just signed Marcus Mariota, but do they really want to go Marcus Mariota? I mean, they could. They easily could. But I think Baker Mayfield will put in a nice competition. But I think they're like, I don't know, they're going to get like this close to like, they're like, I would say there's like a 1% chance of getting him. Carolina and New York, on the other hand, they're kind of quarterback needy teams. I know the Giants were committed to Daniel Jones for this year, but I think Baker Mayfield also wouldn't be a bad idea to throw in some competition just to make sure he can actually compete. And then Carolina, they've been needing a quarterback ever since Newton's MVP year. Obviously, you got Newton and you got Sam Darnold, but Baker Mayfield also in there. Well, actually, I don't know if they're ever going to re-sign Cam Newton. I really don't. But Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, that'd be a nice competition over in Charlotte. Just to see who comes out on top. But it will be a nice competition over there. So I think those were the 3 locations for Baker. Now, as for Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, I really do like this. I like this. I think the Browns are, again, going to be good teams. It's going to be a good team, especially with Watson and Amari Cooper. Both would be very good aspects for their team. Stefanski, again, with Nick Chubb. Browns O-line, a little bit weakened ever since releasing J.C. Treader, or Charter or something. I think that's the last name. But ever since releasing him, a little bit weakened. Don't know why they did, but they did. You got Landry is released. So really, they're kind of in a situation like the Chiefs. They have a top wide receiver, but they don't really have a wide receiver too. I mean, they got Peoples Jones, I think his name is, but they have him. Hooper's been released. Njoku is finally going to get some sort of chance over in Cleveland. The defense is still good. I think Cleveland is going to finish third. They could finish third in the AFC North. But easily that could change. Still free agency. They could sign someone like, they could bring Odell back. I don't think they will though. But even though Baker Mayfield will not be the quarterback there, they could get, well, who else could they get? Julio. They could get Julio. Like I said, you never really know. But I do think the Browns will be competitive this year. I do think they will. They will be. And the AFC is loaded. The AFC is loaded with talent. It's going to be really hard for like no-brainer teams to get into the playoffs. Like the Bills, Chiefs. I think they're probably gonna be in the playoffs. Tennessee should get in there pretty good. Actually, Chiefs might not be a no-brainer just how loaded the AFC West is. So really, the Bills right now, I think they're the only no-brainer. Even the Patriots, I don't even know, because we lost so many pieces and we're signing nobody. The Patriots, I'm a Patriot fan. I'm gonna say we're a lot. But I do think Buffalo, Cincinnati maybe, but really Buffalo's the only team that's kind of safe. You can't say because of what's going on in the AFC West, they're not safe. But the Browns, I do think, will be competitive. Oh, and don't forget, like, they got Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Overall, the Browns, again, I think they have a very good team. So, with that, let's go over to some other free agency signings and see what, and I'll share my thoughts about them. All right, so my first signing I want to talk about is Von Miller going to the Buffalo Bills on a 6-year deal, which I think is worth $140 million. Either way, a very big deal for Von Miller as he looks to end his career over in Buffalo. I think then he'll be 38. By the end of his contract. Old fella, I don't know why he got a 6-year deal with the Bills. I don't know why the Bills gave him 6 years, worth so much, but he's a Buffalo Bill, and that means the Bills' defense, which was probably the best defense in 2021, just got even better with Von Miller as a big linebacker, pass rusher. The Bills, they're going to be dangerous offensively and defensively. They probably are the best team in the NFL. I'm going to be totally honest. They look really, really good. And I'm not that happy about it as a Patriot fan. Kind of disappointing. But I got to be non-biased. And the Bills look like clear favorites to win the AFC again for a third time in a row. It's almost like, again, a lot of people saying like the Patriots and Bills swapped places this year. When the Bills know what the Patriots feel like, and the Patriots knew what the Bills felt like. So really, that's what I'm saying a bit. But the Bills, they really look so unstoppable. They could go undefeated. They could. I don't think they will, but they could. The Patriots and not the Jets, the Dolphins have the biggest competition to them. But really, Von Miller just makes everything a lot better for the Bills. Obviously, the Bills did release Cole Beasley. They did sign J.D. McKissick, but then he went back to Washington. I don't know why he went back to Washington. I mean, that franchise is kind of a dumpster fire right now, while the Bills are looking like the best team in the league. Well, I think they signed O.J. Howard, so that boosts up their tight end depth a bit. But really, I think the Bills look good. They look really good. So, that's my take on that. And now let's go on to a major surprise that I actually didn't see coming. So the surprise that I'm talking about is Tom Brady coming out of retirement. I thought when Tom Brady retired, I thought he was done. Really, from the way he played, he didn't look like he was done, but I thought he was. I think he just wanted to spend time with his family and just enjoy retirement. But nope, he's still gonna go into the age, I'm pretty sure 45, where he wanted to retire. So I think he's gonna get to that goal, play the 45, and then retire. So maybe the next time he retires, he'll put the Patriots in his speech. I sure hope he does. And the Buccaneers really went from Super Bowl doubters to Super Bowl favorites again. Chris Godwin re-signed. Gronk most likely now going back to Tampa Bay. No O.J. Howard, but that's okay. You got Cameron Brate. Today, Leonard Fournette re-signed with the Buccaneers for 3 years, even though he did visit with the Patriots. There's a bug in here. Defense is looking good. They did lose Alex Kappa to the Bengals. Big loss for their line. So we'll see how that affects Brady. Yep, there is a bug in here. What the hell? Sorry about that. I don't like bugs. But yeah, I do think Tampa Bay is still going to be. They're going to win the NFC South. The NFC South with no Brady, I personally think it's just like the NFC least of not last year, but a year ago. Like a team with a losing record could get into the playoffs. So now going back to my thing about what the Bucs should do next with Brady retiring. One second. Just think. Again, Kyle Trask, I think he should still stick around as a quarterback. I think he will be the quarterback of the future for Tampa Bay. And what were they should now? I think again go for a cornerback in the draft. But really, all I have to say is that Tampa Bay's back, Brady's back, and yeah, don't count him out yet. All right, let's go to our next signing. All right, so next up, we head over down south to Jacksonville, where Christian Kirk comes into play. And I want to talk about this signing specifically because of the contract itself. It was like 4 years, $82 million or something like that. I think it was. But Christian Kirk, I don't think he was the second best wide receiver on his team, not even the best, but he's getting paid like the best. I don't know what Jacksonville was really thinking, but I like the signing of Christian Kirk itself. I like it. I liked it. I like Kirk on the Jaguars. I think it gives him a great wide receiver. But the contract itself is just so bad. Like, everyone doesn't like the Christian Kirk signing because of the contract, not because of Christian Kirk. I personally think Christian Kirk will be a great wide receiver with Trevor Lawrence. And I don't think he was that half bad with the Cardinals when he was wide receiver one there. Personally, I think he was just, again, like a lot of people say, overpaid by a lot. And really, I do think Christian Kirk, I think he'll have a great year, but he won't have a year like the best. And if he does, I'll come back to this video. If he does have a great season, like the best wide receivers in the league, I will get a Christian Kirk jersey, and I will try my best to make him sign it. And then I'll make him say, "Told you so." I'll ask him, "Can you write, 'Told you so'?" And I'll be forever seen as a fool. But let's see what happens. I think he'll have a great year, but not like the best. I don't know if he'll be the Cooper Cup of this year. I don't think he will. So, again, I think Kirk himself is a good signing, but the contract is just bad. And now for our last signing, Bobby Wagner. He got released by the Seahawks, and he hasn't signed with anyone yet, believe it or not. So I'm going to be talking about where he could go and why I think he will go there. I'm going to give a few options, but first let's start off with the reason why I think he got released. I think Seattle wants to do a rebuild. I really do think they want to rebuild. You traded Wilson and then release Wagner. I don't really see any other direction that they are going besides a rebuild. And so that leaves me to question, why is Jamal Adams there? Why is DK Metcalf there? Why is Tyler Lockett there? They just traded away Wilson and released Bobby. That's kind of it. So that kind of confuses me a bit. But again, could see it. But Bobby Wagner, where should he go? I think a team that should sign Bobby Wagner should be the what was the team that signed him? I know there's one team that said need a linebacker. It was Denver. I know, yeah, I just remembered. It was Denver. I know Russell Wilson's trying to recruit Bobby Wagner over to Denver, and I think if Bobby Wagner does go to Denver, Broncos are going to win the dang thing, whole thing, Super Bowl. because that is just absolute. I think that's just an absolutely loaded team, and I think Cortland's son Jerry Jeudy will develop under Wilson, and with their new head coach Nathan Hackett, I think he'll do well. Again, this is a new fresh start for Denver, and I think it'll be a really good, 7 years of football for them, or 5 years at least. Wagner, I think, should also consider going to New England. And I'm not saying that as a Patriot fan, I'm saying that as a football fan. If this were beginning of free agency, I would say don't sign him, don't sign him, don't sign him, because they need to re-sign JC. JC did not re-sign, he went to Los Angeles. Now I think the Patriots need to sign a wide receiver like Julio or Odell, or sign Bobby Wagner to help out with the linebacking situation. You need to get someone who can get the run. He can definitely do that. He had almost the most. I think it was the tackling leader in the NFL last year, Bobby Wagner. Yeah, he was. Getting the tackling leader would be huge for the Patriots defense, and they can definitely defend against the run at that point in time, and they can defend the air with Kyle Duggar, CB1, and I think they'll be okay. So, Denver, New England, where else can he go? I could definitely see him signing a 1-2 year deal with the Chiefs. I'm going to be totally honest. If the Chiefs can get him along with Matthew, which I think he'll take a pay cut and re-sign with the Chiefs, then the Chiefs, again, will win the Super Bowl. They'll win the Super Bowl next year. They'll win the Super Bowl the year after that. So they'll be a big dynasty. They'll be really, really good. So that's why I think what could happen with Kansas City. And that's why I think where do I think Bobby will sign? I think he'll stick with Wilson and go to Denver. I know Matthew Judon for New England is trying to recruit him. Him and Matthew Judon would be crazy. But I think he's going to Denver. I think he's going to join Randy Gregory, Russell Wilson, Bradley Chubb, and Denver. And Denver's going to win probably the Super Bowl. So that's my take on Bobby Wagner. That's where I think he will go. And that is going to be it for the rest of the video. I know Allen Robinson, he went to the Rams. He'll be the wide receiver 2 there, obviously. I think he'll do a very good job in LA. That offense is going to be pretty scary, to say the least. I know Robert Woods is going to Tennessee. Tennessee's offense will be Derrick Henry still. But Los Angeles, they should be pretty scary from the time on. But again, that is going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, follow the Instagram right here. I'm covering both the NFL free agency and the MLB free agency. I'm covering some NBA stuff. I actually got a friend of mine to focus on wrestling. So hopefully more wrestling content will come on the Instagram or even a channel soon. Hockey, I'm kind of there with that, but I know there's a big trade for Boston. The Boston Bruins, they got one of the best defensemen in the league. I just don't follow it as much as soccer, football, baseball, and basketball. I just don't follow it as much. I know the NBA playoffs are coming up. I'll give my prediction on that when they do come around. But for now, that's going to be it for now. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a good day. See ya.